Hey guys, it's Trina and this is my May reading wrap up. As you saw in that intro there, I only read 4 books this month. If there were any books that you saw in the introduction that you just want to jump straight to that review, then you can always use the timestamps that I list in the description. And I also put Goodreads links to all the books that I talk about in my videos down in the description just so it makes things easier for you to find. Let's check in with this month's TBR now. So if you guys remember, I had 4 different reading goals that I had set for myself that I wanted to accomplish in May. Out of these 4 goals, I only completed 1 of them. I did read the 2 new releases. Like I said, I only read 4 books this month. When I say only 4 books, I'm just saying that in relation to like my past monthly wrap-ups. This year I had been averaging like around 10 books a month. So yes, I did read less than average for me. There were days where I just did not read at all, which is unusual for me, but I'm not going to force myself. I'm fine with that, but that also meant that I did not hit all those TBR goals. So my lowest rated book this month was The Circle by Dave Eggers. This is an adult sci-fi novel about a woman who goes to work for this big social media company, and throughout her job there she starts to learn like this company is wanting to take over more and more aspects of technology, of the internet, and they even start like overlapping into the government a little bit, and it just is really dictating the way that people live their lives. So the premise of this book was just one that was right up my alley. I really wanted to read this, and it really made me think about the things that I enjoy with a concept like this. So the book delivered almost exactly what I was wanting, but I still only rated this book 2 stars. And the reason for that overall comes down to there was absolutely zero plot. There was no story arc, and the characterization was completely absent. Our main character is like the most dull puppet type character I have ever read about. She would like go along with whatever people were saying and then internally say, I have no idea what I really think about that and I don't know why I agreed to that. She has just no sense of self. I did not understand her or her motivations, and the biggest thing that I had in terms of being problematic in this book was that there was just a ton of fat shaming in it. There's one character in this book that is described as being 40 pounds overweight. He's in the book for about 2 or 3 scenes, but the main character thinks about him pretty often, and she always thinks about him using words like disgusting, gross, sweaty. He's frequently called Sasquatch. There's another statement about how if anyone were to sleep with him, they literally must be possessed by demons to have found him attractive. It's not presented as, well, these characters are bad characters doing bad things and you should recognize it's bad. It's treated as we're supposed to hate that character because he's fat. That fat phobia is something worth pointing out, although that is not the reason why I gave this book such a low rating. It was because I really enjoyed this concept, but the execution just like was not there at all. I don't think that Dave Eggers is a skilled writer. I feel like the story I made in my own mind when I heard the synopsis of this book was a better story than what actually happened in this book. So I was left completely unfulfilled, and by the way, I did start to listen to this one on audiobook. I hated it. The narrator was terrible in my opinion. I have reviewed it with examples of the narration in my last audiobook review video. So if you are still wanting to give this book a try and you're thinking about trying the audiobook instead just to get through it quicker, I really do not recommend this. The book is going to be just a better headcanon. I think you're going to be able to develop your own tone. The narrator's tone did not fit the story at all. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I did not have a fun time with either format of this book that I tried, and I just don't think it was well written at all. Moving on, the next book that I read was Fireworks by Cotugno. This one is a YA contemporary novel set in the 90s in Orlando. It is about 2 best friends who are from a small southern town, and they go and audition to be in this next girl pop group, and one of the friends really wants it, the other one, she's just kind of going along with her friend, and they both get picked to be in this new girl group. And so there's kind of like some feelings of animosity but also excitement for being there together, and then there are boy bands that they meet, there's crushes, there's first loves, and you know, it's definitely a summery YA story. I did enjoy that this was set in the 90s, although there weren't like a lot of 90s pop culture references. Most of the pop culture stuff in here is very fictionalized. The reason I gave this one 3 stars is because I ended up just not being a fan of the way that this book explored friendships. I did not think that this was a very healthy friendship. At times it was very healthy and I was very like, oh, I love this friendship, but then there were other times where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't really like the ending. It just kind of felt like some things were a bit unresolved. So I don't have a ton more to say about this book. I did enjoy it. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it or anything, but it didn't wow me. This is just kind of a middle of the road book for me this month. Next, I read Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, which is another YA contemporary story. This one is set in present day, and it is about two best friends, Alice and Teddy is turning 18, so Alice goes and buys him a lottery ticket for his birthday, and he ends up winning this massive jackpot. So this is a story about how money changes your life. It changes all the characters' lives that are involved in this story. It changes their friendships. I really enjoyed the family vibe in this one. Like Alice and her family, oh my goodness, I love them so much. She lives with her aunt and her uncle and her cousin, but I absolutely adored them, and just the love in that family, and even Alice's insecurities at times. I just really love the family aspect of it. That was definitely my favorite part of this book. I was not a fan of the romance in this book. There are a couple of options for romantic interests in this book. It did not go the way that I wanted it to. I just didn't really like the character that got like the romance spotlight in the book. I just didn't like some things about it and like their relationship. So again, this one just kind of hit middle of the road for me. Don't dislike it, but it's not going to be like top of my list of favorite books to recommend. And the last book that I read this month, which was the one that I enjoyed the most, was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This one does have a finale to that entire story arc. Although I know Sarah J. Maas is writing more books and novellas set in this world with some of the characters we know. We just don't know who they're going to follow or what those stories are going to be yet. This is a new adult series, meaning that there is some graphic sex, there is graphic violence in it, and it is a fantasy series about fae. I had a huge emotional connection to the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury, because that book really deals with abusive relationships, and as someone who's been through an abusive relationship, it was a mirror for me, and I was hoping that some of that would carry through into book 3, and there were a couple of lines that really resonated with me that I was like, how does she get this? But this book did not have as strong of an emotional connection for me because it's really not about that at this point. This one is going much more into like the war. I will say though that I was very impressed with how Sarah J. Maas wrote all these battle scenes, and I think the reason I loved the battle scenes in this one so much is because so many YA series, or just any series, they want the finale to be about their characters going into war, doing this big thing, and then it ends up focusing on like one conversation that your main character has with the villain and like maybe their little fist fight or something, and then the war takes place outside of them and you don't really know what all happened. Sarah J. Maas somehow wrote like all the little aspects. You see all the characters in this war, and it felt epic, and it felt like a large scope to me. It felt very hard fought to me. It felt like there was a lot at risk, and I really enjoyed that. That's what I always want in any kind of finale that's going to end in a war. This is the type of war and battle writing that I want it to be like. There were things that came out of nowhere that surprised me that I probably should have seen coming, but I didn't. I just really loved how she used every single character you've ever heard of in this series and every single part of the world. They all came around in the end, and I just felt like I was very fulfilled by the ending. Now, I don't agree with all of Sarah J. Maas's writing choices when it comes to diversity. There is a female character that says she prefers women, but she likes both women and men, and I know a lot of readers have been upset by her portrayal of that. There's another bisexual character who I do think that character has some really bad stereotypical tendencies, and then there was a line in this book that I know a lot of people saw as being ace-phobic, and that one has caused a lot of hurt. I would not recommend going to her books if you're looking for good, diverse representation. So the short answer is I was not as emotionally connected to this book as I was to A Court of Mist and Fury, but I really enjoyed this one as an ending. It delivered the war that it was promising and building up to. So in that aspect, it was very satisfying to me, and I thought that she wrote those battle and action scenes very well, or at least in a way that I personally liked. That's everything that I read in the month of May. If any of you guys have read any of the books I talked about and you want to talk about them more, definitely leave me a comment. We can discuss them further, and I would love to know what your favorite book that you read in May was. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!